lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not.
I'm Indigenous. I was born here. I'm native to the land.
This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule.
But I ain't spending any time on it.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello and welcome to Sitting Ducks, the youth-driven current affairs program that tells it like it is and tries to entertain in the process. So coming up in today's show, you're going to hear from many people. We have sugar babies, anti-vaxxers, dogs, people with no motivation, the sporting legends, and find out what happens when you test positive for COVID if you haven't already. But first, let's dive into this week and see what's been making headlines. So New South Wales got a new premier, Dominic Perrottet, who in his first week has already been banned from the Kylie and Jackie O show, avoided a fine for having a beer standing up, and is under scrutiny in the media for his anti-abortion and anti-gay rights views. So I went around the UOW library to see what people thought of our new premier.
I miss Gladys, but I think he's okay, but he definitely has more of a focus on the economics as opposed to people in a general sense.
They do, but they don't. Yeah, they don't because there's already laws and stuff there, and he's already commented saying, oh, I'm not gonna change that. Like, sure, that's my beliefs, but he's already said that he's not gonna change that kind of stuff that's in place, which he wouldn't be able to anyway, because no one would fucking agree with him.
There's a lot of issues with his management style, and I think the media's trying to focus on the social stuff to hide the fact that there's actual issues.
So what are these management style issues? Well, before Dominic became Premier, he was Treasurer of New South Wales, and in 2015 he set up iCare, which is an insurance giant who provides millions of Australia's workers' compensation, amongst other things. And an investigation into Perrottet's iCare found that it had underpaid 52,000 sick and injured workers by up to $80 million.
iCare was created to deliver insurance and care schemes for the people of New South Wales.
In other news, the ACT has become the first state to criminalise stealthing, which is the dodgy act of removing a condom without your partner's or whoever you are fucking's consent. And this new law brings hopes for other states like New South Wales to jump on board and criminalise stealthing, as Australia is getting closer to hot girl summer. And the biggest stealther of them all, Mark Zuckerberg. He has been practicing his own form of stealthing, leading us on, telling us he is using protection, but leaked internal documents this week show that Facebook knew its platform was used to spread hate and misinformation, knows how to fix it, but is putting profits and growth before safety. We're familiar with this. We've seen ScoMo's handling of climate change.
I mean, 50% renewable energy target is nuts.
The whistleblower behind it, Frances Horgan, warns the algorithms of Facebook are increasing the political polarisation, which comes this week as a new report revealed there's been a 750% increase in right-wing extremism in Australia over the past 18 months.
Whoop-de-do.
Moving along, New South Wales will be reopening up clubs on Monday, but with no standing, singing or dancing, which begs the question of what's the fucking point? But the good news is pubs are reopening, just in time for a new beer to come out of the Great Barrier Reef. Literally though, this beer is made up of ocean water from the Great Barrier Reef. They're doing this to raise awareness of the reef's eternal death, which scientists predict will be in about 10 years' time. So vaping has spiked in Australia, and the governments are trying to make these illegal vapes more illegal by banning the importation of e-cigarettes. And to buy a vape, you're going to have to go to your doctor and get a prescription. However, the most popular vapes in circulations are the ones being sold illegally from servos, tobacconists and other stores. And not from personal experience, we have yet to see these laws impact the ability of people to buy these vapes. So, have you ever wondered about sugar babies and how they're getting along in lockdown? Well, we have. And we have our reporter, Britney to give you all the answers. I am obliged to give a content warning for this next piece, as it discusses sexual conduct.
Sugar babies can typically be described as younger women who have an older male companion who gives them gifts or money in exchange for sexual or non-sexual interactions.
It wasn't anything sexual or anything. There was 2 guys and one liked what I was doing at uni. He praised me for what I was doing at school and stuff and everything. So he would just want me to tell him what I learnt about. So it was kind of like a study session. And the other one, he liked my accent, so he would get me to read out scripts of things. I'm not too sure if he's written them or if he found them on the internet, but he would just get me to read it all out and things like that. So there was nothing really sexual about it, just they wanted the time of day.
I sent him nudes and a video of me playing with myself and a video of me squirting, and we also did it over video chat where I played with myself and he squirted, I squirted, and he masturbated, and he was a very dominant figure.
It's all fun and games getting money from strangers, but where are these sugar daddies actually found?
So I actually, one day I was I'm just going to increase my age range on Tinder, see what happens. And a day or two later, you can comment on someone's photo. I didn't know that. And he commented on my photo, and he's like, do you have some daddy issues I can fix? I would have made about $400 to $500. So I remember one time we video chatted for about 3 or 4 hours, and I made $200. And then I sent him a bunch of nudes, and that got me about $50 for about maybe 5 to 10 nudes. And each video chat I got at least $100, and I video chatted him maybe 2 or 3 times.
Well, there was a website called Fund My Sugar Baby, and it's kind of set up like Facebook. There's set out and stuff, so you would just have a bio, you would have your name. I had a fake name for mine, and a lot of the other people do as well. And you post photos, and they're mainly of your face. They have to be of your face to clarify that you're a real person. And so then people would privately message you, and that was how the interactions would start. Well, I was only doing it for 3 months, and there was 2 guys, and overall it was around $3,500, give or take, over the 3 months. So it was I think 1,700 from one guy, and then 1,000, nearly 2,000 from the other guy.
Yeah, his was more purely sexual, because I said to him, when I broke it off with him, I was I'm happy to be friends. And he's like, friends is not what I want from you.
Sugar babies do seem to earn quite a lot of money, whether that be for sexual or non-sexual interactions. So my question is to you, would you become a sugar baby? This is Britney Dukes on 16 Ducks.
Sugar babies aren't the only ones making new furry friends in lockdown. We have our reporter Jessie to tell it all.
A lot of people out and about walking their dogs since lockdown's begun. I was super curious about this, so I decided to start a poll on my Instagram stories to see how many people had started walking their dogs more frequently since lockdown. I was also curious if anyone had done any more training on their pooch since lockdown, or if anyone had brought a pandemic puppy for some companionship. So a total of 3.2 million households in the UK have acquired a pet since the start of the pandemic, according to the Pet Food Manufacturers Association. This was both insane and understandable to me. I too brought a pandemic puppy, and it honestly saved my life. There is no doubt in my mind that dogs help brighten your day, and in such tough and trying times, they are what so many people needed. Out in the field at a local dog park, Buster, he's got a good story for us.
Hello, my name is Buster. I am reporter Buster, reporting today about all of the people walking their dogs. I am at a place where lots of people walk their dogs. I see them and I say hi, and yeah, lots of walking of dogs. Okay, bye, reporter Buster out.
Thanks for that, Buster. I went to the people, or at least the people I know, on my social media in an attempt to have a look at what other people think about this. So I asked my Instagram about their changes in dog walking throughout the lockdown. Before the lockdown, 81% of my followers walked their dogs 1 to 3 times a week. During lockdown, 69% of my followers walk their dog 4 to 7 times a week, a massive increase and complete shift. I then asked if anyone had anything cool happen in regards to their dogs, their thoughts for their dogs in the rough time, or if they brought a dog in this time. The census was in and multiple people felt like killing their dogs. 5 people commented saying that they got a pandemic puppy and they've been loving it. I FaceTime with Scott, who is one of those people who brought a lockdown puppy at the beginning of 2020. So he's had Buster for the whole COVID-19 ordeal. Says he's just so lucky I got to have him, that best friend with me the whole time. I would have gone insane without him. Overall, it's clear that dogs played a role in maintaining mental health over the lockdown. In all honesty, where would we be without our furry friends?
There have been rising protests by anti-vaxxers around Australia. We have Jack Egan here to host the Quack.
Hello there, my name's Jack and I'm a reporter for Sitting Ducks. And I've been given a tough story to work on, and it's been a big part of the news lately. I'm sure you've heard of it. Emma Watkins is retiring from the Wiggles, hanging up the yellow uniform. Wait a minute, I've just been told that's not the story. Ah yes, of course. COVID-19 vaccination rates in New South Wales have reached over 80% for those double dosed. There is still a small portion of the population that have not been vaccinated. Do you believe everyone else should get the vaccine as you've done?
Not.
Why?
I believe people have a right to free will and autonomy over their own bodies. I believe genuinely that a lot of the information around it is skewed and somewhat ambiguous, and the information presented by the media is inherently going to be biased towards getting the vaccine because it's in their best interests and in the interests of the people who've developed it.
Why mandatory? Are you kidding me? Unless I could see a reason. No, I can't think of anything that I support because at the end of the day, none of it works.
Do you believe there are alternatives to the vaccine?
I do. So natural immunity has proven itself to work. People who've had COVID in the past have had a much less susceptibility to it, even less reaction to it were they to catch it the second time. And the infection rate amongst previously diagnosed COVID patients is like nothing compared to naturally exposed people, or yeah, what it is.
Let me think about that for a minute. Well, I guess effectively, it doesn't work.
So you've done your own research?
By research, yes, I have done my own research, personal research, but I've done a bit more than say what most, if by research you mean Facebook, Google, Twitter.
Right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world?
I believe everyone has freedom of choice. I believe God made us with free will. So naturally, I think everyone in that sense still has the free will, even if it's being overtly forced or imposed onto them.
Whoop-de-doo.
Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo.
Up next, find out what happens when you test positive for COVID if you haven't already.
COVID-19 has been a prominent part of our everyday life now for nearly 2 years. But what actually happens if you contract COVID-19?
I'm a childcare worker. I caught COVID from my childcare place from a child that I was in contact with. I didn't really care about myself testing positive because I didn't really have any bad symptoms. I had an itch in my throat, but every single time I tried to cough it up, it wasn't going anywhere. It felt like phlegm, but it wasn't phlegm. And I was constantly coughing. I had a bit of a runny nose, but every single time I'd blow it, nothing come out.
Living with COVID seems to be difficult at the best of times, but living in a share house whilst you have COVID, now that's got to be difficult.
We have 2 separate bathrooms, there's an ensuite in one of my roommates' room. That roommate had to go stay at her boyfriend's for the 2-week period, and the other 2 roommates had to use that bathroom. And then we had to also share the kitchen, and every single time I was in the kitchen I had to wear 2 layers of gloves, 2 or 3 masks on, and every surface I touched I had to spray down with bleach and then spray down with disinfectant. It apparently stays in your system for 6 months, so apparently I will have a cough every now and then, and if I get any, I was told by my doctor, if I get any COVID symptoms I have to get a swab test and a blood test to make sure if it is COVID or if I'm just sick.
There are only so many things you can do while in isolation. I mean, there is only so much Netflix you can watch.
I did embroidery, I did a bit of writing, and that's about it. It fucking sucks. I got bored shitless.
And there you have it, guys. Isolation and living with COVID, it isn't for everyone. But I guess, if you're introverted, I'm sure it would be nice to have a little holiday away from everyone. This is Britney Dukes on 6 Sitting Ducks.
Motivation around the country has been falling as New South Wales enters its 15th week in lockdown. Classes are online, we're staying indoors, and it's hitting people really hard. We have our reporter Gifty Oppong to tell you everything that she has learnt.
The HSC can be the most stressful year of a young person's life. There's been a growing concern among students about the impact of COVID-19 will have on their studies.
Like many of the 70 students this year of the HSC, and the disruptions of having to stay at home is weighing heavily on Hannah Fikori.
Affected a lot of things, like just seeing friends. Like I didn't get to see my friends as much, so it was hard to be motivated, and also like excursions that we usually would have done, and like our graduation, everything changed a lot. I didn't feel prepared, but I was nervous because I had taught myself a lot of the content at home, so it was a bit scary because I felt more responsible for it rather than like my teachers. It helped a lot because of like Zoom calls and talking to teachers that way, and also just like getting the content online, like so we could do our school at home obviously, and also like a lot of places were offering like different lectures and things to prepare us, so there was still ways we could prepare like online, so it was good.
Abigail, a recent graduate from Bomaderry High School, gives her take on issues students had to deal with during their online schooling sessions.
Topics we needed to in the short amount of time Year 12 is, and we also missed out on like time with our peers and doing the fun excursions you do in Year 12. Challenging doing advanced maths and chemistry, like trying to learn those things without having a teacher there to guide you through it all. Prepared for the HSC, but it certainly made me a lot less prepared.
Technology has been very vital during the pandemic, but it wasn't good enough when it came to HSC performances.
During this time, we were all focusing on our majors, so it's our performance major and our music majors. It's incredibly hard because a lot of people don't have the facilities at their own home to complete their projects. So
I went ahead to ask my Instagram account a general question if students have felt unmotivated and needed to catch up on work. 80% saying yes and 20% saying no. There you have it, guys. I'm Gifty Oppong, and this is the 6 Sitting Ducks.
Coming up next is Waddle Watch, where we take a look at what's been happening on social media this week.
Past week I've been seeing some hilarious TikToks, as always, especially in this lockdown. However, there's been 2 that have just been sticking in my head this entire time. One is telling me what type of day I'm gonna have, and the other is just repeating in my mind over and over and over again. So this is the trend where people are using the sound from the kids' television show Horrible Histories, where the main character pretends to be himself and a mellow. Here's original.
What do you think, whackers bonkers? Kill him. Who? You naughty whackers bonkers.
Man, people have really taken off. Turns out our inner monologues are all insane, all trying to get us to do crazy stuff. And we're funnier than we lead on, and often destructive to our own lives.
What do you think, Whackers Bonkers? Kill him. Who? What do you think, Whackers Bonkers? Kill him. Who? You naughty Whackers Bonkers. What do you think, Whackers Bonkers? Kill him. Who? You naughty Whackers Bonkers.
Watch me have "kill him" stuck in my head for the next 3 weeks. Now, the next TikTok trend I want to talk about is if it's going to be a bones or no bones day. The TikToker Jonathan has a 13-year-old senior pug called Noodle. And every morning, Jonathan picks up Noodle to see if it's going to be a bones or no bones day. The TikTok has just gone insane with this theory, with people saying that if it's no bones day, it's gonna be a bad day. If it's a bonus day, it's a good day, get stuff done. And honestly, as an Australian, it doesn't really apply to me, but I love finding out if it's a bones or no bones day. And that's where it's just hit on.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to yet another round of No Bones, the game where we find out if my 13-year-old pug woke up with bones. And in addition, we find out what kind of day we're gonna have. Now, I don't know about you, but I am jonesing for a bones day. Oh, and we got one! Oh, we got one! This is such good news. Noodle, you are merciful. Okay, lie down. You did enough.
You
Hold on.
Okay.
Holy Spirit, activate.
Oh, no.
Holy Spirit,
no. Oh, no.
activate. Holy Spirit, activate. Activate. Activate.
Two for the show. I never was ready, so I watch you go. Sometimes you just don't know the answer to someone's.
It's always insane to see what trends are currently happening on TikTok, but whether it's a bones or no bones day has really resonated with so many people, including myself, because life coming out of a pandemic and out of lockdown for so long is gonna be different, and it's gonna be difficult, and we just want a dog to tell us what to do.
In the regular world, Halloween is when children dress up in costumes and beg for candy. In girl world, Halloween is the one night a year when a girl can dress like a total slut and no other girls can say anything about it.
With Halloween just around the corner, I've been noticing an ever-growing trend on my TikTok, that being the most amazing and scary Halloween makeup and costumes.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer. I'm out crazy. Luxury, chitty ching ching, could buy anything, cop that.
That goes without saying though, there have been quite a few fails along the way, so let's check some of those out. Well, ain't that some spooky stuff? What will you be wearing on Halloween? This is Britney Jukes on Waddle Watch.
And up next is our reporter Joel Beatton to give you all the latest in drug busts. I mean sports.
Hello, g'day, ni hao, hola, bonjour. I'd like to welcome all of our viewers from across the world to Sports Legends. I'm Joel Beatton. This week in sports was chock full of winners, losers, and of course, controversy. So, what do you say we dive in? We'll start with foot of the mountains, where celebrations are ongoing across Western Sydney after the Penrith Panthers won their first NRL premiership in 18 years, scraping past South Sydney by 2 points in Brisbane. Flying winger Stephen Crichton came up with the biggest play of the game, plucking off a wayward South pass and racing 40 metres downfield to score what proved to be the game-winning try. Redfern's finest, Adam Reynolds, was unable to end his decade-long tenure at Souths with a fairy tale finish, narrowly missing on a pair of opportunities to tie the game in the dying stages. Panthers head coach Ivan Cleary presented son Nathan with the Clive Churchill Medal for Best on Ground, before lovable winger Brian Tall stole the show, proposing to longtime partner Moesha. Early reports are that she said yes, however we will update you with any developments as they come. Penrith's celebrations lasted longer the next morning and likely days following, with perhaps none of the scenes topping their post-game rendition of Sweet Caroline. It is expected that the celebrations will be mad. That's M-A-D.
You look a bit mad. Do you reckon the next few days are going to be mad?
Oh yeah, we'll be going mad. MAD.
Elsewhere in the rugby league world, news of NRL stars Cameron Munster, Brandon Smith and Reece Walsh consuming cocaine during end-of-season parties has left fans shocked, stunned, bamboozled and bewildered. No, not really. But they did play their part in the seemingly annual tradition of NRL stars getting busted for coke. The league has handed down punishments too. Munster copped a $30,000 fine to go along with a one-game ban, Smith a $15,000 fine and a one-game ban, and Walsh a $5,000 fine and a two-game ban. Due to previous indiscretions, however, Munster was also hit with a 12-month alcohol ban, which may just be the toughest punishment of the lot. Now, to all the NRL players watching this, thinking about doing coke, just know that if someone films you doing it, you're going to have to miss a game.
I know you guys have done so much for this club. You've dug the well, and unfortunately we've shut in the well.
On to cricket now, and the biggest series the sport has to offer, the Ashes, is set to go ahead after initial concerns surrounding England's willingness to adhere to quarantine measures. Or, in other words, the Sookie Brits didn't really want to come over. English skipper Joe Root has, however, vowed to fearlessly lead a weakened squad in an attempt to regain the Ashes for the first time in over 1,400 days. England will be without stars Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer, whilst the Aussie crowd will be keen to make amends for the stick that stars Steve Smith and David Warner copped the last series in England. The first test will be played in Brisbane on the 8th of December, with Australia the short price favourites to retain the urn. Moving stateside now, where controversy surrounding vaccine mandates continues to dominate the NBA news cycle. A number of high-profile stars have made their vaccine hesitancy be known, with some at risk of missing significant stretches of the season in certain cities. None more so than Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving, who is set to miss all home games if he remains unvaccinated. Irving's Nets enter the season as championship favourites, with their star guard's availability a major question mark and of extreme importance moving forward. A one-time flat earther, Irving was unable to finish last season due to an ankle injury he sustained in the playoffs. His availability is still in major question. And a lighter note to finish for all our fans, here is Penrith belting out Sweet Caroline in the sheds. Take it away, fellas.
That's all we have for Sitting Ducks today. Hope you have learned something and enjoyed. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.